life experiences and where I come from in life. And I hope that by doing so, it will inspire you maybe a little bit more than when you came in. It also gives you an opportunity to learn a bit more about me. Many people know me, I have many friends, many associates, but some people don't really know the inner me or where I really come from or what I'm really all about. And I hope this opportunity, as we have this discussion, will let you know about that. This is one of my most favorite quotes from Dr. King. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. And you know, when I was putting that together this last week or so, when I put that into the slide deck, I knew immediately how I wanted it overall for this conversation to happen, what I wanted to talk about. And again, this is more of an opportunity, I think, for all of you to kind of be introspective and look internal to yourselves and try to determine what are those things for you that measure up or determine the content of your character. Now, I wanted to that was 59 days after Dr. King was assassinated. I largely grew up with the first 10 years or so of my life with my grandmother in South Bend, Indiana. Between South Bend and a place called Fort Heights, Illinois. I used to call it East Chicago Heights. It's about an hour and a half or so outside of South Bend. At the same time, this is 30 miles or so from Gary, Indiana, so the Jacksons were really big. And I know me and my brother, we all went to be Jacksons, so we got our Jackson 5 uniforms and put those on. This was, I remember, interesting enough, I'm probably about 6 years old in this picture. I remember that picture. I remember taking it at my paternal grandmother's house in her backyard in South Bend. To my left over there is my brother Dwayne. He's a year older than me. Directly behind me is my oldest brother Michael. He's about 3 years older than me. And we spent our summers between South Bend, Indiana and Fort Heights. My paternal grandmother, my dad's side of the family, his mom's house in South Bend, and they lived probably about a mile or so apart. We would travel back and forth by foot and go there and see everything. And I never knew much about Martin Luther King as a kid. I didn't know a lot about him. My grandmother would say things from time to time, and I remember at some point, probably around this age, where my grandmother would talk about his assassination. And it bothered her very, very deeply to her soul and to her core. And sometimes she would say, they killed this man. He was trying to do some right things. He was trying to do some good things for us, and they killed him. My best recollection of anything to do with Martin Luther King was Martin Luther King Jr. Center, which was a rec center in South Bend, Indiana. And we spent a lot of time there, particularly in the summer, because they served meals for underserved, and on breakfast and lunch. And I remember getting up on Saturday mornings. It would be somewhere around 8 or 8:30 in the morning, and they would ring this bell at the center. And all the kids would come running out. We'd run down the alleyways and go get this breakfast. And, I think that was probably the beginning of why I was undefeated in track years later. I was the littlest one, so I was trying to get out in front. Southern California. My mother had 3 boys by the time she was 19 years old. But she knew that she could not stay in South Bend, Indiana, that our lives depended on not staying there, that she had to do something else. So she made a decision when she was 23 or 24 to leave South Bend and to go to Southern California and try to start a life for herself and then bring us along at some later time. So my mom packed up at one point and left Indiana and went to California. She had one friend and she ended up there. And for the next 5 or 6 years or so, I spent that time with my grandmother. As I said again, my grandmother was she was a typical matriarch of the family. Took care of us, made sure we were okay. We were latchkey kids. She was the type of person when you got home from school, she was already at work. We had the key on the yarn and we'd go inside the house and there was always a note there with dinner ready, and it always said usually the same things. Michael's in charge. eat all your dinner, be back in before it got dark. And it's one of those things that, like I talk about when I say that I'm an emotional shifter. That's that compassion that I have for people. You know, I had one.